Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
It's very important to know now, after doing the videos or after seeing the videos of barriers to listening, effective listening, that it's very important for us to know how to overcome those barriers of effective listening. This video is completely informative. It also helps you a lot in our daily life. We must know that how should we overcome the barriers of effective listening. We all know it maybe, but we are not practicing it. So not only knowing would help, but also practicing would help to a great extent. So friends, let's look at this video, how to overcome the barriers to effective listening. Hello friends. So the first and the foremost formula, I would say, to overcome the barriers of effective listening would be stop talking, which I cannot because I'm in the front of the camera. But yes, the first and the foremost formula is stop talking. Don't talk, just listen. That's the first and foremost rule of overcoming the barriers of effective listening. There's a beautiful saying from Mr. Mark Twain. He says, if we are supposed to talk more than we listen, we would rather have one ear and two tongues. But because we do not have one ear and two tongues, it's the vice versa. So don't talk, listen is his formula basically. When someone else is talking, listen of what he's saying. Do not interrupt or do not finish the topic for him, or do not get into a rush for him to finish the topic. Let the speaker do his work. Do not get into his shoe to try to complete his sentence. So when somebody else is talking, we have to listen to him first and foremost. The second thing, we do not have to interrupt, neither we have to fall in his place for a rushed moment for him to finish the topic that he's been talking. So definitely we do not have to do his cup of tea, where we first have to understand that he needs to finish and only then we can talk. At the other point of time, we also need to listen well, because maybe after he finishes or after he completes his communication, there'll be a space for us to give our messages accurately. So friends, first and foremost, stop talking and start listening. That's the first formula to overcome the barriers to effective listening. Let's see what's the next formula. Remove distractions, focus on what is being said. So it's very important, like fidgeting with a pen in your hand, with your legs, tapping your legs, snapping your fingers, playing with your hair or playing with your clothes around. So these are some issues where you distract yourself from being focused. It's very important to avoid these kind of unnecessary distractions which are not really required, because they are more like an interpretations. They are definitely not very important and necessary at that point of time. These behaviors disturb you and break the link of your listening process and sends messages to speakers that you are really bored and distracted. So in a way, speaker also doesn't understand how does he speak and finish his communication. His confidence also goes very low when he sees that someone else in front of him is distracted and bored because of his speaking. So friends, this is also one of the major steps to overcome the barriers to effective listening. The third one is empathize. Try to understand that other person's point of view. Now here, like we said in the last video in the barriers to effective communication, that empathy is something where you need to understand what that speaker feels at that particular point of time, and if you were in his place, what were you supposed to do? So actually getting yourself into that speaker's shoe is which will allow you to empathize to that speaker. This would happen only if you have a point of view and if you have an open mind and the understanding to really understand how that speaker feels and how he feels if you distract him or interrupt him, or how you would feel if someone distracts you or interrupts you. That's why, friends, please empathize with the speaker. This would also allow yourself to have an ability to become an active listener. Let's see what other formulas or fundas do we have to overcome the barriers of effective listening. Next is prepare yourself to listen. Relax. That's the best thing to do. You need to relax to understand that you need to prepare yourself to listening. Focus on the speaker. Put other things out. Do not fidget with anything. The human mind is easily distracted by other thoughts. So, of course, it's very difficult to say that you keep your thoughts away for some time, because we really don't know what would be the major priority at that particular point of time. But still, we can practice. Relaxation would make it easy. Why do you think people meditate? People meditate because they need to understand that they have to focus on a particular point, and they are not multitaskers where they are dealing with so many thoughts at the same point of time. Concentrate on messages which are given out by the speaker, and then you can begin to communicate. So friends, it's very important to first prepare yourself by listening. It's only relaxation and meditation every day. A little meditation, maybe 10-15 minutes every day, would help you to relax yourself. It would also affect a lot in active listening. Let's go to the next formula. Put the speaker at ease. Help the speaker to feel free to speak. Now, this is something going beyond empathizing. Empathizing, you're only understanding his feelings, but here you need to do certain things which the speaker would feel you are with him and you're actively listening. In that way, the speaker also feels happy to speak about certain things. How would you do that? Remember that they are your needs and concerns. Nod or use certain gestures which the speaker would feel you are with him and you're tuned to him and you're not tuned out. Maintain eye contact but do not stare. You show a listening and understanding while the speaker is speaking, and this will help him to encourage and to continue to speak better and relevant. So this is also one of the major formula which can help the speaker to speak better, not only you for listening in better. Next formula, let's see what's the next step to overcome the barriers to effective listening. Be patient, very important. A pause, even a long pause, does not necessarily mean that the speaker has finished. So we have to be patient. We have to keep patience for the speaker to actually finish his complete speech or the complete, the complete information giving process or his complete talk. Because at times when we feel when we want to ask questions, especially where we feel that I need to ask question about this particular thing, we actually wait for the speaker to finish or take a pause where you could immediately pop in and say, okay, I have a query. So friends, relax. You have to be patient, and not necessarily if the speaker is taking a long pause, that means he's done. Wait for him to actually say that he's done, and questions are welcome. Only then you can ask your queries and questions. Never interrupt a person to finish his sentences before time or for someone else. So the next step, this is one of the major steps which you can help the speaker also to be a better speaker. Next, let's see what's the next step to overcome the effective listening. Listen to tone. Volume and tone both add of what someone is saying. It's very important. A good speaker will always use both volume and tone. So through his volume and tone, his entire audience come to know that whether he is taking a pause or whether he's finished his speech or whether he's beginning the speech. So it's very important for us to practice the pauses, to practice the tone, the modulation, because only then we can understand any other speaker's viewpoint, or we can actually put ourselves into the speaker's place, and believe me, you could be the best speaker. But before that, you need to practice how to listen well. Everybody uses pitch, volume, tone, voice at certain situations. Let these help you to understand and emphasize on what would have been said. So friends, this is also a very major and a very effective step to be taken to overcome the barriers of listening. Let's go to the next step. Avoid personal prejudice. Now, this is something which you need to really practice. Try to be impartial. Many a times we've been speaking this in the last videos as well, that don't become irritated and don't let the person's habits and mannerism distract you from what you've been speaking is really saying. So whatever that person is personally, if you know him, whether you have a certain idea about that person, or whether you have a certain thought process for that particular person, do not let it distract and come in the way. Friends, it's important to understand at particular point of time, habits and manners are something very, very personal, and we do not really need to connect it with everything that is spoken or everything that is heard. Everyone has a different way of speaking. Some people are more, for example, are more nervous or shy than others. Some people have a regional accent. Some people have excessive movements or body movements or body language. Some people like to pace, so they like to give pauses and halts a lot. Some people are still when they are talking. They do not have any body language at all. Focus on what is being said. Ignore the styles at some given point of time where it is not required. We have to focus on positivity and not negativity. If the body postures and the body language does not show you what the speaker is speaking and directs you to what he doesn't want to speak, or his, and you start getting prejudiced, you need to know that you have to stop there, relax, concentrate, get back to what he's saying rather than being prejudiced. So friends, this is one of the major step and very effective step to get out of your barriers and to overcome the barriers of listening. Let's see what's next. Listen for ideas, not for words. You need to get the whole picture, not an isolated bits and pieces. So friends, always we have to remember that we need to listen to certain ideas, the entire concept of the entire story, the entire concept of the entire talk. And we do not need to listen to certain words and only find out those certain meanings. It will be of no use. Maybe one of the most difficult aspect of listening is the ability to link together pieces of information to reveal the ideas of others. So many a times we join these bits and pieces and bring in a new idea for others. Many a times it does happen. With proper concentration, letting go of the distraction and focusing becomes more easier. So at times we should remember that we are listening to a conversation, keeping in mindset that we want the entire idea of that conversation and we are not looking at bits and pieces, or even for that matter meanings of certain words. The next step to overcome the next steps to overcome the barriers of effective communication is wait and watch for non-verbal communication. So gestures, facial expression, body language, eye movements can also be very important. We don't just listen when we are listening to someone, especially face to face. If we have someone who's standing in front of us, like we said in the communication skill lecture, that when we face someone face to face, we actually use first 30 seconds to see the first impression, to see how the person looks, for the personal appearance. The next 30 seconds are the way he appears to you, the welcoming approach, a smile, eye contact. And then comes the gestures, the body language, the getting up from the seat, welcoming you, depends, in whatever situation you are. And then comes voice tone, and then comes words actually. So tone modulation and then the words. So friends, at some point of time, listening also is the best way of communication. Best way to get into an communication. Listening is not only someone speaking and you listening to him, but also gauging someone by his personal appearance and by his non-verbal communication. That is also a major part of how you could overcome certain barriers of listening. So friends, I hope this entire video is of real good use to you and it will be useful to you in further walks of life. Keep practicing how to overcome the barriers of effective listening, and I'm sure you will be an active listener. Practicing listening skills and at the same time practicing overcoming these barriers to effective listening would also hand to hand help you, and you would at one point of time become the best listener and the best speaker as well, because at the whole you'll be a best communicator. So thank you friends for watching this video. Please stay tuned to our channel and please subscribe to Ikida. There is a bell icon. You can also press that if you like the video.